This has become quite a tradition for us. Mother's Day, May Day, and my birthday. And I guess because, Jan, I've joked for so many years that I'm entering the next year prior to that year, that everyone thinks it's my 74th birthday when it's actually my 73rd year, celebrated on my birthday on May 13th. I was born on Mother's Day, 1952.
It was a big
deal. It's a big deal for my mom anyway. Yeah. And so I've been very, very fortunate. And so it's actually my 73rd birthday, and I'll be entering my 74th year.
We'll keep it at 73.
I joke with Janet all the time because she doesn't want to be older, and I just have kind of accepted it as what it's been. But this is Janet and my probably 12th birthday that I've celebrated with Janet as a part of my life. And it's been amazing. And at the same time, this summer we'll be going into, I guess it'll be our 12th year this fall. So this will be our 11th Mother's Day or birthday.
Yeah.
And going into the 12th year of Cardio Miracle. And it's been quite a
ride.
Quite a ride.
What a ride. I was told by one of John's dearest friends when we were first engaged, he goes, you better buckle up because you're in for the ride of your life. And boy, has it been, and you guys have been a big part of that, which has been really wonderful.
Janet's been literally by my side the majority of these past 11 plus years that we've since we developed Cardio Miracle. And now with, approaching over 50,000, 60,000 users, 25 to 30,000 pretty regular customers. It's been really amazing. And you've kind of experienced it all really firsthand and had to deal with the challenges and emotions of how difficult this has been. What are a couple of the things that might be interesting to the people of some of the things we've gone through in the process and how fortunate and how blessed we feel that it has become as successful as it now is?
So the challenges?
Yeah, a couple of them might be just kind of interesting.
Probably one of the biggest ones was when we didn't have product for 6 weeks.
Close to 6 to 12 weeks, actually.
And John spent the majority of his days at the manufacturer, sitting in the office, hoping somebody would listen. So that was a big deal because we didn't know if we knew somehow we'd make it through it. And then probably one of the more tender ones was getting a note on our ranch gate, and how they found us, we have no idea. But these sweet people had driven, about an hour and a half?
Over an hour to
leave a note on the gate, hoping to get through to John, because was it during the same time frame? They were out of product and they were desperate.
They had run out, and the wife, sweet Debbie, our friend, who became our friend from that experience, had suffered terribly from
terrible autoimmune
things. Chronic fatigue, all of the things that many of which you went through.
Yeah.
So maybe, and so we found that note. We ended up scrounging up a canister from my cousin's house.
Went to their home.
And got him the Cardio Miracle for her. And that's been one. We've had so many. I mean, you've seen the texts and the phone calls and the emails over the years, and most people would not even believe that it's even possible to hear the types of stories that we've heard. And we can't get into all the medical claims, even though we have the science. I wish we could. Because we've seen a lot, haven't we?
Everything.
And maybe just from your own experience, maybe just sharing that briefly.
Gosh.
For the women, the caregivers of the world, being honored as mothers and grandmothers. And Janet's a grandmother, and she doesn't look like it, but she is. Tell them just a little bit about what Cardio Miracles meant to you since we developed it 11 and a half years ago.
Well, I would have given literally anything to have had this when I was in my 20s, and I developed chronic fatigue syndrome 5 days after my first child was born, my first son. And that put me, any of you that have autoimmune issues, you know how it starts out with one thing and then it hits another area and it's continual. And so to go from the time I was 24 until I met John at about 56, 57, somewhere in there.
57.
I suffered tremendously. I had relapses a couple times a year. I'd be in bed for 6 to 8 weeks each time. And I had a very handicapped son that I was raising. And so, to you that are dealing with autism, are dealing with parents that are aging, dealing with your own health issues, the gift that has come from years of suffering and oof, is that I have compassion. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be in bed and just wishing that somebody could come wash your hair for you or paint your nails or something. I mean, you just felt so non-functional. And so for me to have found John later in my life and to start on the product that had changed his life, have my vitamin D levels go from a 32, and that was with massive supplementing and then going on nitric oxide, the combination of the nitric oxide with the vitamin D and all of the other wonderful ingredients, my vitamin D levels went to an 84.8. And I hardly knew what to do with myself. I mean, I was living again. And my family, every time I'd go home, they still thank John after all of these years. They thank him for bringing me back. And it was basically kind of like, let me get kind of emotional here, but coming back to life again. So,
Well, and we've had more than our share of challenges in this journey, but it's been so rewarding. And I mean, just the other day, somebody came up to me after at a theater event where they recognized me as Mr. Cardio Miracle, and they came up and said that they had suffered for years from heart failure, and that now their doctors are stunned with the result and the fact that the vital markers, the ejection fraction, the GFR for the kidneys, the different ravages of diabetes, cardiovascular. We often think about blood pressure and cholesterol and triglycerides, but when you start dealing with congenital heart failure and kidney failure and pulmonary problems, which many people have experienced in the last 6 years from the pandemic, and for people to get what they believe is tremendous relief to the astonishment of their health practitioners and their dentists and others is really gratifying.
yeah.
And we feel very fortunate every day. So in that process, go ahead.
I mean, you kind of forget after a while some of the things that you have struggled with for years once they're gone. I had really suffered with very serious depression and a lot of pain in my neck and in my hands from rheumatoid arthritis. Those are just gone. So I kind of forget, even though those are, you can see it in my hands, but it doesn't hurt anymore. Energy levels, so much better. I'll never be like John, but
well, and,
I don't know
now entering my 74th year next week, I'm astonished myself of the things that I've been able to do. And I obviously need to maybe pace myself, but we believe this is a mission, and we believe we don't claim to have some spiritual mandate or whatever, but we feel like we do have one, and we feel like we're supposed to assist and provide answers for people who suffer, of all races, of all religions, of all walks of life, of all ages. And we've invested millions of dollars in the fight against finding answers from what we believe is a system that has gone astray. And so thank you. Tonight is about you and in thanking you. And one of the things that I've told our team all along is that we want our team and our customers are our highest priority.
I wish you were right here.
We wish you were here so we could hug you personally.
I want to see your faces.
And we are having some very special, we have some very special guests that I wasn't even aware. It's kind of a surprise, I think, to be here tonight. And we want to share their stories with you because these stories are real. These are real people. It's real science, real results, which is part of what we say. But we wanted to do something really special this Mother's Day, this May Day, this birthday, and celebrating you with us in everything that we're doing. So if you want to show us the special offer, there's a special offer that you'll be able to see. And what it is we're going to offer 3 90 serve of our 90-day or 90 serve pouches, one of our 30 single serve stick packs, because you really shouldn't leave home without your stick packs.
No.
How important have the stick packs been to you, Jen?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm kind of a hoarder. I really do. I hide packs from John because he gives everything away, and I will not be without it. But for traveling,
It's unbelievable.
you need it for
Fits really well. So I didn't realize that there's another bonus. I let the staff go crazy here. So we've got 3 90 serves, 130 single serve stick pack, and 10 free additional stick packs. Wow. So that means that's 310 servings. So less than $1 a serving, the lowest price we've ever had. Now, sometimes people ask us, Jen, they'll call us on the phone or text us and say, oh my gosh, I'm out. How quick can I get it? Why do you think it's important for people to have a 2 or 3 month supply of Cardio Miracle on hand?
We never know, and you guys know this. We're all living in the same world. Things can change quickly, and with the supply chain, you just never know. We have so many ingredients, so many wonderful ingredients um, that if we were to be without some of that and not be able to get it to you, then I'd hate for anyone to be in the same situation that precious lady was that made their way to the ranch.
To
Yeah,
give us a
yeah.
note. And the reality is, we know that financially it's challenging, especially for those on fixed incomes. Janet and I started out in our life together 11 years ago in her 900 square foot, 1-bedroom apartment. And I had gone through some challenging business things, even though I'd had an immensely successful lifetime and career. But things happen. And so we were starting really from zero.
It's like little newlyweds in their 20s. We had nothing.
Yeah, newlyweds.
We had each other.
So we had each other, but it's been an amazing journey. And the most important thing is your health, as we know through that. And that's been certainly the blessing that both Jan and I have felt. We're far from, the fitness Zumba teacher couple, but Janet's had her issues. She struggles sometimes still with some sleep things and other issues. I certainly have had my share of skin cancers for over 30 years, family history of heart disease. So the fact that I'm hitting now this new milestone is pretty remarkable, and we're very, very grateful. So we wanted to share the love and the benefits to all of you, our Cardio Miracle family, of this tremendous sale. We need you to be on subscription. It's the best value month in and month out. A couple times a year, we'll have a sale. Great time for you to stock up, share it with others, share it with family members, share it with teenagers, help people get off energy drinks, caffeinated drinks, addictive behaviors. All those things are involved in Cardio Miracle and will help people feel better and have a better and happier life. With that, I think that we have some special guests that would like to introduce you to. And so if we could invite our dear friends, Scott and Sue Palmer, into the studio, we're going to set them up. And while our good helpers are getting them ready, I'd like to just share a couple of thoughts. One of the things that's important with Cardio Miracle is the fact that you can always adjust the taste. You can always adjust the taste by adding more water. You can also, if you feel like it's too sweet, you can add apple cider vinegar. You can add lemon. You can add any of those types of ingredients to your Cardio Miracle. And frankly, it tastes even better cold. When it's cold, that makes the flavors a little more robust.
Making me thirsty.
It tastes a little better. And some people actually drink it warm. And so, but we are so, for some reason, people decided to surprise me. And so they sent these dear friends and advocates of Cardio Miracle, our dear friends, Scott and Sue Palmer, who I guess it's been almost 3.5 years now.
Yep.
Since we had our first experience. So Scott, share the story briefly.
Okay. First off, thank you for letting us come here. We just love both of you.
We love you so much. We love you.
Dear friends.
You are dear friends.
So
You've done a lot for us.
We've known John for so many years, but for whatever reason, 20 years, we probably hadn't seen each other. And I have a podcast, a YouTube channel.
Watch your Palmer on YouTube.
Yeah, thank you. And John heard that I was going in for surgery. And he said, I have something I really think would be a blessing and a help to you. And I had a bone that had broken in my ankle, and it was not healing. I thought it was a sprain. They had to do major surgery. So I took Cardio Miracle a little bit before the surgery and then started after. And it was miraculous. It was such a blessing. And I talked about it for a year on my channel before we even did anything.
Collaborated on it.
We collaborated. And so now we share it with so many people. And it's always been a blessing to everyone. And you guys are a blessing to us. Just our friendship and everything.
It's been an amazing time. We've absolutely loved every minute of it. And just like everyone, Scott, you're going in for a knee replacement. You've already had one knee replaced, and actually we're kind of excited because we think this one's going to be a lot easier.
That's what I'm hoping.
Cardio Miracle.
That's what I'm hoping. Yeah. So we'll get through that. But you get a certain age. But you know what, John? I'm doing stuff that I've better in some ways other than this knee. But I'll get that fixed, and it's just I can out hike my boys sometimes.
Oh,
yeah.
That's it. So if the boys are watching, don't take on the challenge for poor old dad.
Yeah.
And because this is our family, the Cardio Miracle family, and your family to us, you went through a real tragedy the last couple of years, one that nobody would want to go through. And we have suffered in a very small way along with you.
No, big way.
And tried to do our share. But a couple of key things I think came from that. One is I think most people don't understand that stress downregulates your nitric oxide and your vitamin D, and you're more susceptible to being sick when you're going through stress, grief, sorrow, etc. And Scott and Sue lost their precious little granddaughter after a valiant fight with cancer, even to a point, and I guess we don't care, but her parents were threatened to take away all their children if they didn't go through the traditional treatment, which I know that you would have preferred to have done other things. But they did what they had to do based upon the circumstance. And it was how long? A 22-hour drive each way to Lubbock, Texas, for you to go there. And you're driving back and forth. You're flying back and forth. You're trying to be the caregivers. You're trying to give support. Tell us a little bit about how important it was for you to be able to drive that far, Scott, and how Cardio Miracle versus just caffeine probably was helpful. And then maybe, Sue, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about what it's meant to your poor daughter who lost her precious little daughter, and how it's actually, Cardio Miracle has actually been part of her support group, essentially, for her own health.
Yeah, why don't you address that part? I think that'd be good.
And I know it's a very tender subject,
Yeah.
so.
It's tender. But all through Jane's hospitalization, we all took Cardio Miracle, and it was a lifesaver. We were in there night and day for 1 month, and to not get sick, to be able to go through what they went through, it was amazing. And her children do not drink juice, but they drink Cardio Miracle. And I still spend a lot of time there in Texas. And I was just there for 2 weeks. Some of them had the flu, and I didn't ever get sick. I just kept on with my Cardio Miracle, and I just felt fabulous. So it really is a testimony to me that how much it can help, especially in times of stress.
We really believe it's a major impact on the caregivers. And many of the women are the buyers, and they're the caregivers primarily. And we just really think, particularly here on Mother's Day and grandmother's celebration of that it's really important, because we all have had elderly parents, we've had brothers and sisters, family members. It's really important that your immune system and your energy levels stay up. And Scott, you and Sue have done a lot of traveling overseas, and how have you found with the jet lag and all the challenges of changing time zones on your travels?
So cool story. We just this last February we got asked to lead a tour group to Israel, and we were going to take the small little packets. But I said, let's just take a big bag of Cardio Miracle with us. You know, when you travel or when you're a caregiver, you usually don't eat the best way because number one, sometimes you just don't feel like eating, and sometimes it's too stressful. So we had Cardio Miracle 3 times a day, leading this tour group. It was my first time actually doing that, being responsible for people.
But tell them how many people were on Cardio Miracle themselves.
Oh, well, you're great.
Because you've been challenged.
Our group were on it, and none of us got sick. We stayed healthy. We had all kinds of travel issues just because of where you're going. You know, it's not as smooth as it used to be. So we're just huge fans of it for traveling and for anything. But just everyday life, we need it. We need it.
I have to mention that when Scott first had me on his broadcast, and we had you come up to our ranch in the cabin,
Yeah.
and we were doing a broadcast talking about
Remember that?
I remember one of the comments from somebody saying, "Why should I be taking nutritional advice from an overweight guy in a log cabin?" And the interesting thing is now there are over 2,000 customers among the Palmer family of Watcher Palmer with his 14,000 subscribers that now take Cardio Miracle. And now when I come on, they still probably go, "Oh no, it's him again." But the interesting part is, tell us just briefly about the comments that have been made over the last 3 years by the users.
So it's so funny because I'll do videos on all kinds of different things, but I always get comments that just randomly about how people love Cardio Miracle, what it's done for them.
And thanking you
And
now.
thanking me now. Now, can I tell just a quick
Please.
story so a cousin of mine, he's just a great guy, and just humble, hardworking, good man. And he was up helping his brother up in Idaho do some things. And that night, the house caught on fire. And the whole family got out barely. And my cousin, as he was escaping the house, he hit the, what do they call it? It's like the Trex deck.
You know, the Trex deck, slippery.
And it was melted.
It had
Oh,
melted.
melting because it's plastic. That's right.
Oh my
It
gosh.
burned his feet so severely.
Gosh.
And he'd been he is a Cardio Miracle customer, but his Cardio Miracle was in his car. He got taken to a hospital. It's kind of a long story.
He drove himself to the hospital.
Anyway, that part's a long story. But he was convalescing at his son's house, not too far from us, and we took him a big thing of Cardio Miracle. And the doctor said he was in the burn unit at the University of Utah. And then he progressed so fast, they let him go to his son's home. And now you can't even tell there's a burn on his feet. And his feet were basically melted.
Fried.
Wow, I can
Right.
imagine with that
He
stuck to his feet.
Just stuck to his feet. The pain. And he says over and over again, Cardio Miracle.
Well, interesting enough.
Because it heals. It's the
It
healing
It helps
process.
the blood flow and the healing process. And we hear that with diabetic ulcers. We hear it with wounds, surgical. What did the doctor say about your ankle surgery?
Not to badmouth doctors, but they usually take credit. But this particular doctor said, "This is healing so well. I do such good work." And he said, "The scar isn't even," he goes, "You can't even see the scar."
Yeah,
He was so impressed.
it's
And
amazing.
I went, "Well, thank you."
Well, we know that we have to continue. We could talk to you all night.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
love you guys so
We love
much.
you too.
Sue,
Thank you.
what would your advice be to mothers, grandmothers, and daughters going forward on taking charge of their health, their family's health, and their nutritional needs of their loved ones?
I think it's so important for us to take care of ourselves. And that's really the reason I do that, because year by year, you get older and older, and things happen to you, even though that you've tried so hard your whole life. But it gives you the energy that you need, and you have all your vitamins and minerals. In fact, one morning I was awake pretty early, looking at my feed, and there was a product that somebody was selling, and I thought, gosh, that looks really good. Maybe I should look into that. And I thought, well, I'm going to go check my Cardio Miracle first. So I went downstairs, I looked, and every ingredient that was in that they were selling is in Cardio Miracle. And I went, why would I even question that cardio didn't have that in it? So really, for me, it's a testimony to me that I can just take Cardio Miracle and I don't have to worry about all the supplements that you're told to buy that you need for this or for this or for this. So it's wonderful. It really has made a big difference in our life and our kids' lives. In fact, one of our boys hadn't felt well. And I said, have you been taking your Cardio Miracle? And he went, I haven't taken it recently. I've done it a couple of times this week. And I said, you need to double it up. You need to do it. And I promise people that when they do that, it really, really helps.
Well, it's a miracle we got back together.
Yeah.
And it's been a wonderful miracle to be engaged with such wonderful people.
It was a real miracle to us, John, when you contacted
God
John.
bless you for that.
Kind of out of the blue, but I guess we'll take the miracles where we can get them. And you've been a miracle for us. And Janice,
Thank you. We love both of you. Thank
so
you.
much.
Thanks so much. Robert Scott Bell, The Robert Scott Bell Show, arguably Maha before Maha, one of the great advocates. And the story goes, a number of years ago, literally I was chasing him around at a hotel in Florida trying to get his attention.
I don't know if you knew how much we were hiding around.
You were behind it.
He was trying to get Robert's attention. And, it's kind of like he's saying, why is that oversized guy stalking me at this meeting, talking to me about nutrition, who's one of the top experts in the world? So I'll just turn it over to Robert. Robert, tell us about your Cardio Miracle journey and what it's meant to you, to Nancy, to your family, and to your many, many customers and influencers in this, how it fits in the big picture.
Well,
health and wellness.
The story is a funny one, though. I mean, you are truly a gift and a miracle to us all, and what you brought to our lives, our family, and the audience, the family of the Robert Scott Bell Show has been tremendous. And, I've been at this for so long that, you make the joke of like, who is this guy trying to tell me about this miracle supplement? I heard it all, right? I've been all organic since 1990. What do you didn't do something for me, right? And, as I, slowly you wore me down to kind of check it out. And I just remember finally, like the old Life cereal commercial, let's get Mikey. He hates everything. Let's give it to him kind of thing. And we gave some to my producer, the story, Super Don, who's been with me for 20 years now of the 30, about 25 I've been broadcasting. And he was the migraine guy, right? He had every month, he was down for the count, bad, sometimes twice a month. And I just remember there was a migraine question that came into the show when we were live. I was like, oh, Super Don, let me bring you in. Let's talk about this. And it was, this moment of clarity that we didn't expect, because he said, wait a second, I haven't had any migraines since when? Since I started Cardio Miracle. And I was like, oh, okay, this is what I needed to hear to see the reality of someone that, because, my reluctance was only because I've been clean, organic, doing all the remedies.
Fit.
Yeah, running around. And I'm like, what is this going to do? Now I was kickboxing at the time, so I started integrating it. And my wife used to be kickboxing. She got me into boxing because I couldn't do the water stuff anymore after some diving injuries. And I just, watching the monitor, in my fitness routine, you can see what level of the heart rate during the workouts. Obviously, the more fit you are, the harder it is to get into that red zone, optimal yellow zone. And so they could get me into the yellow zone. Very hard to get me to the red zone. But after I started the Cardio Miracle, the instructors, which are like really pushing you hard, and I told them, yell at me, get me going. They could hardly get me to the yellow zone anymore.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, in my 50s when we first started this, and still am a little bit longer. And I'm just like looking around. These other kids in their 20s and 30s, they're in the red zone trying to keep up. And so it was a powerful testimonial for my, personal experience to say, listen, I was skeptical because I was already doing well. And so now I can tell, high level athletes, people that are already into this realm, and many are that listen to the show, that this is something that'll take them to the next level, right?
Yeah.
In addition to someone who, like my producer, who wasn't into all the healthy stuff, although he listened and he learned, and he and his wife went organic at the beginning of 2024. So eventually it ekes in to say, yeah, this is important. And so this has been a tremendous gift, as I said, gift to the world that you brought in. We talk about it's a God download. And I love sharing the story of Cardio Miracle. And it's just so easy. It's like, this is not work, to be able to sell something that I'm not selling. It's just really become a part of our lives.
So Nancy, what's it been like watching Robert and the Cardio Miracle part of your family?
Oh gosh, it has been a blessing for all of us, truly. The health benefits alone have just been spectacular for everybody concerned. And like he said, we've been organic for 30-something years now. And I didn't expect to see a huge difference. But then we started getting these stories, not just our family, but all the stories around the people who have overcome so much. So I recommend it every time I talk to anybody. I say, okay, tell me what you're taking. And they're like, nope, you got to switch.
Well, you and Janet actually have shared an autoimmune journey as mothers and wives and everything else. And, Janet's vitamin D level went from being very, very moderately poor to now spectacularly good. Now, that doesn't mean it's solved every problem, because she dealt with 40 years of issues.
Yeah.
But the fact that she's able to do so much that she wasn't able to do before.
Oh, I'm so much healthier than when I was in my 20s.
Oh, yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. And I love the vitamin D story. My gosh, I can't tell you how many times that I hear from people that go to doctors, regular doctors, even though they're more holistically oriented, but they're like, their D levels. They're always saying, the doctor keeps putting them on more D and the levels aren't going up. And this was another aspect of the miracle when you analyze the formula and what it was doing. It was opening up the pathways of all the D that they had accumulated and weren't using in the fat, stored. And so this nourishes, and I've talked to Judy Mikovits about this numerous times, about nourishing the pathways, that it isn't just about one isolated thing, even though the focus is on sustained production of nitric oxide, which is phenomenal, and counteracting the rise of peroxynitrite, which is also amazing. But all of the focus on D, which is great, but people are taking too much for their needs based on the fact that they have it and they can't get it. So this opens up that pathway. Right. And it allows us to take a small quantity that's rational and suddenly get the full benefit, more beyond what they thought that could ever happen.
But we didn't even realize that it released the D from the fat cells. When was that? Which study?
That was the August of 2022 study that talked about it doing that. And I'd just say, Robert, you've been involved in the nutritional world for years. And you and I have been hanging out now for, 6 years, 7 years.
Now, yeah.
Have you ever seen a nutritional food with this kind of scientific backup in all your years of experience? Have you ever seen anything in the supplementation side or in the nutritional food side that has science like Cardio Miracles?
No, in an isolated way, you can use the borrowed science, for instance, of a particular nutrient or mineral, right?
Ingredient, right.
But when you talk about the formulation and what we found out about all the pathways that were being optimized, normalized, et cetera, nothing like that was validated to this level. So began to understand how it would work to integrate with the most obvious being people with cardiac challenges. But when I saw all of these other pathways being supported and nourished back to functionality, it was like it isn't just about those people that are going to be helped tremendously. As I've said, people that don't have any issues, and I didn't have necessarily any issues in that regard, found out that I could literally create in a body that was supposed to be aging, and I was sick for 0 to 24 years of age. I got my old age diseases out of the way first, I like to say.
Good for you.
But, as you get older, you expect certain things to happen, and you start putting this to play, and it's not just, I know that nutrient's good, I heard about it, or I read about it, but it's about the synergy of all of it working together, and then having the scientific validation for it, and then saying, clinically, observationally, and all the people that listen to my show calling me, this is the greatest stuff ever, right? That doesn't always happen. In fact, it rarely happens. So I'm grateful for this.
You've spent a lot of time in the autism world and in the COVID world and the potential dementia, Alzheimer's. Give our Cardio Miracle family your input on the impact on neurological situations, seizure activity, autism, and even those who are suffering from injection problems and even whatever long haul COVID is, which is
Right.
probably autoimmune attack by a
Sure.
bioweapon. So
Yeah.
give us just your synopsis of how Cardio Miracle may be very helpful to those people.
Well, from a nutrient delivery, from a food perspective, the body has an assimilable form of all these things that are in it. So that's already going to be an advantage because people are corrupted as far as their digestive systems, partly due to a lack of blood flow, poor blood flow, oxygenation, all of that. So I see that with anybody with an organ or system that is corrupted or, let's say, not optimal in its functionality will be nourished back. And we talk about brain and neurological health, the blood flow, and even the lymphatic flow, which we know there's endothelial tissue associated with lymphatic fluid and flow, that is something often overlooked, especially when it comes to brain health and neurological health. So when we see dementia, Alzheimer's, even MS, neurological issues, it does have everything to do with that flow and endothelial health. So it is, you can extrapolate out just from the standpoint of, I even wrote an article, we had it published in American Chiropractor, I think a couple of years ago. I talked about renal or kidney health. How much, this is a difficult one because how many people are on dialysis now? It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. They're springing up everywhere. And even my father died of renal failure ultimately before I knew any of this, and I could only help him so much. And I realized that the blood flow restriction to the kidney, this is a huge issue that's not looked at. You restrict that blood flow and oxygenation. The kidneys are a filter. It's going to reduce, the ability to filter out. You're going to have concentrated toxins. The liver is going to be impacted negatively with lower blood flow, et cetera. All of this related to the nitric oxide story. But what's irresponsible I see in about the supplementation for nitric oxide is that it's usually just an isolated like beets or citrulline arginine, and that's about it. Nothing did what you did. And you did, as I said, I love it because you didn't know what you did.
I didn't know.
The download.
No.
And it counteracted this rise of peroxynitrite, which is why I was always hesitant to do something like a nitric oxide supplement. Because I know if that stuff rises, so does something else that you don't want.
Free radical.
Free radical damage, inflammation. So you have a little bit of good, but it's short burst and it's down, but you've got all the bad too.
Right.
And you're seeing this sustained production of nitric oxide, the good you want, and this reduction, this countering of the rise of peroxynitrite. So you have all the benefit prolonged and you counteract the detriment. And so we're not going to have that further impairment of the vasculature due to the inflammation, the vascular inflammation due to what? The rise of free radicals, facilitated by some of these nitric oxide supplements. So
People don't even know what they're doing.
No, and that's why I say the only responsible way that I've found to do it is with Cardio Miracle.
Well, thank you for that. And I know that the lymphatic thing is a big deal. And this is to our Cardio Miracle family, not going to be posted to the world. But the remarkable thing that I've seen is the ongoing benefits to lowering the A1C, diminishing people's pathway to dialysis, and even turning around the GFR, which is essentially what I like to call the blood pressure of the kidneys, that it leads to kidney failure, which is a top 5 cause of death, right up there with diabetes, cancer, and medical error, unfortunately, and cardiovascular things. Well, we can't thank you enough for being one of our great advocates. I can always say, don't listen to me, listen to Robert. Robert's smarter, and Robert's married to Nancy, so
She's even smarter.
that's even better. So thanks to you and Nancy being here today and sharing with our audience. The Robert Scott Bell Show, you can find it on all great podcasting stations. You want to listen. He's one of the greatest human beings, one of the great advocates of our mission in trying to heal the hearts of mankind.
Well,
Thank
John,
you so
one
much.
thing I just got to say, I'm celebrating you, my brother. You are just such a gift and a miracle to the world, and they haven't realized it yet. If they haven't, I'm going to tell them. They need to know. And so happy birthday. What a celebration. We're glad to be with you. It's just an honor and a gift to be able to hang out and have you as part of my family as I am part of yours.
Thank you so much.
Festive.
Well, I don't know. I didn't realize I was going to be entertaining so many luminaries. I'm so grateful.
Well, you've got a fun birthday coming.
It is what it is.
Someone says you get to come to a birthday party.
I know.
Right there.
Well, we have to introduce. This is Scott and Maureen Proctor from Meridian Magazine, and truly one of the breakthrough influencers of the Cardio Miracle story of the last 11 years was our meeting the Proctors. And just like Robert Scott Bell, I had to chase Scott Proctor down, just like Robert Bell. I had to chase around hotels, but all I had to do is try to figure out how to get to the Proctor's house in out in Utah.
Well, it was a trick because you kept contacting us for about a year.
A full
and you
year.
wanted a meeting with us, and I'm sorry, but we're busy 6 months
Are
from
we?
Tuesday.
We're so busy every day. We never ever take a break. No, but I
That's true. You don't take a break.
But your persistence was amazing, and I kept thinking this guy is either crazy or he has
Or he's
something, or he has something. And I really did. I kept thinking that. I said to Maureen, "This John Hewlett guy has contacted me yet again."
And what I said is, let's just see him and get it over with.
And she said, let's give him 1 hour, and we'll be absolutely
I will say,
firm about it. I'm going to set my watch.
We've only got an hour.
And he came to the door. I remember the day he came to the door, and he came in, and I'd seen him on some videos and stuff, and I thought, yeah, he looks about like he did there. And he came in and he started talking, and 3 hours later, we were just fast friends because I knew you had some. I mean, I have this theory in life, and that is every person we meet has a gift for us.
Oh, I like that.
They all have a gift, and sometimes the gift isn't what we necessarily were expecting or wanted.
Cold.
Yeah, it might be cold, but it's a gift. But no, I mean, every person brings a gift with them. It's like they are ready to present it to us. And, even friends in high school and college that we don't have much interaction with, they bring a gift. It might be that we learn patience, or that we learn charity, or we learn some new piece of knowledge. But you brought a gift that has changed my life.
Well,
You look pretty good still.
Well,
You've been busy.
I'm so glad.
Before we jump into that, though, I do have to say that John is just so charming, and he was so much fun. We didn't want him to go after an hour. We wanted him to
That's
stay,
right.
and we just kept talking to each other. There was this natural connection, wasn't there? We really loved each other from the beginning, and we were eager to help you get this product out because we could see right away that it was really, really important for people, and that your goal was to make a whole generation, starting with us, an older generation.
Starting with us, we need to save ourselves.
Well, as the younger generation, you wanted all of us to be healthier and to be able to enjoy our lives more. And so that really rang a bell with us because you were talking about how you just had a natural genetic tendency toward heart disease. Yeah. Well, Scott could identify with that.
Well, and all the things you said that day, there's not one thing that you said that wasn't true. And I didn't know it that day. I just thought, man, this guy knows so much, but I think it's because he talks about it a lot. He may not, but the more I've studied, the more I've looked at all the, I've actually read a lot of those reports you sent us to. It's like, some of them are pretty boring, but you can read the abstract and get a lot out of it and say.
I read the first and then the summary.
Exactly.
Graphs.
But you can read these things and then, I don't know how many studies, 100,000 studies later, it's saying the same thing you said that day. It's saying this is a miracle molecule. But, it is.
But then your own experience is what really teaches you, because Scott is one of those unlucky people who had a heart attack when he was 42 years old.
That's unbelievable.
And
Look at him now.
It panicked everybody in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And
then I had another heart attack in 2015. And it was just about, maybe a year and a half, 2 years later, that you started knocking on our email inbox over and over and over again. And I thought, okay, I'm looking constantly. I've got to figure out something, but the combination was right. And after 1 year of thinking about you, without knowing who you were, I decided to go with it. And since that, it was about July or August of 2018. Since that time, I've taken Cardio Miracle every day, and then later every day and every night. I never miss. And it just has stabilized my health. It's changed everything, you know. I mean, even like I go into the eye doctor. I've told you this
Yeah,
before,
you've
but
had
I go into the eye doctor and he says to me every year, because I go in once a year around
Well,
my
because
birthday.
you're a diabetic,
Yeah,
and that's
you're
what you
gonna
have
get
to do.
diabetic retinopathy.
Yeah.
Something's going to go wrong. Those
Sure.
microcapillaries are going to have a problem.
Exactly.
So he goes in and he says, now, if I didn't know you're diabetic, I could not tell that by this thing. But
By your
I
method.
used to, but I can't now. I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it. I didn't tell him, you know. But so the next year I go back, he says, whoa, you're looking better than you did last year. I don't know what is going on here. You know, I mean, really was surprised. And this is a top-notch doctor.
Yeah.
And so this has gone on for years and years now. Every year he says that I don't think he ever catches himself. Like, do I say the same thing to you every time? Is this boring?
Is this a loop where
This is a loop, but I do have a new charge for you.
how have your because I haven't seen you in a couple of years. You've been on a mission. You guys are the servants of the world. It's amazing what you constantly do, and the activity level that you keep is staggering, and it's amazing. How have your diabetic checkups gone?
They've
Every
gone
year.
great too. I mean,
A1C is
A1C has come down. I always was, before I knew you, I was always hovering around 7.8 to 8.
because you were disciplined with your diet.
I was,
Because you would have been probably a 10
yeah.
had you
but
not taken as good a care.
Exercising.
But you were still in that
yeah.
7, 8
And
to
then
8.
I was around 7, and then I was just pushing like crazy, and I sometimes I
below.
could get it to 7 or 6.9, you know.
Wow.
And now I'm at 6.4, 6.3.
Oh my gosh. And
Wow.
see, those are the stories that are just so wonderful. How about the A1C?
Well, that is the
no, I'm
A1C.
sorry.
Yeah.
What have you
My
have
blood
you measured the GFR, the kidney function? Is that
Oh, it's
ever-
perfect. It's perfect.
See, that's
Yeah.
the biggest fear for most diabetics.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that once that kidney starts shutting down, then it's dialysis,
Right.
which is a life sentence,
Right.
and then it leads to the eyes, the feet, the neuropathy,
the
all
whole
of
works.
those
It's a nasty disease.
Right, and then we got our son also using Cardio Miracle, and
Just recently.
he just wrote us these a series of texts one day. This Cardio Miracle is really working for me, and he had all these measurements.
I feel like an athlete again.
I can run again. You know, it just was so much
Well,
fun.
and you know, Maureen, I don't even know how was it 2020 that you had your bike accident?
It was. You've got a good memory.
And most people in that circumstances could have died from that with the complications. Your arm was
I know.
shattered.
My arm was shattered, and I couldn't bend my fingers for a year, but everything came back.
See, and we had earlier Scott Palmer on, if you met him, but his ankle was so bad, and he's had a complete recovery. So one of the important things we found that we're sharing more and more is the shoulder replacement or the surgery, the knee replacements, the hip replacements. The recovery from surgery seems to be remarkable and allowing people to endure difficult physical therapy and push themselves more. Was that similar to what you went through with your arm? Because your arm was in really
She was in bad shape.
It was
As
horrible.
Scott made sure he sent out on text the picture of my arm and the
It was twisted like a little
It was a
pretzel.
pretzel.
And I'm sure
Very
Scott was
bloody
a
pretzel.
great coach. for your physical
Oh yeah, you have to document the moment. No, it's been great, and I have to say, every time that I'm taking Cardio Miracle and I take a drink, I think I am saving my life. I'm saving my life one day at a time, and it's just been wonderful to feel that secure about something that you're doing to take care of your health.
And you have to know an added bonus. And this is just because it applies to us all the time. We've traveled now in 90 countries. We just got back from Australia and New Zealand, but we'd been to New Zealand before, but Australia, we'd never been there before. So now that was our 90th country, you know, and we don't have jet lag anymore.
Yeah, we don't get jet lag.
Now,
You guys would know.
Yeah.
I'd tell you, we have jet lag stories from before we knew you that are just hilarious. Because we lead tours, and you know, you can't lead a tour when you're going like this, you know.
Yeah.
But
We had
just
20
don't have it anymore.
We had
at all.
24 hours in Singapore once, and Scott really wanted to make the most of it, but we'd just flown, you know, you passed the international date line and everything. We've been on there.
Everything shut down in
I
March.
just kept, I just kept falling asleep against the bus window, you know.
Where's the Merlion?
Look, yes. And we finally got to the Merlion.
Before Cardio Miracle.
And this is before Cardio Miracle. And there was a stone bench there. And I just slept on the stone bench on top of my purse so that no one would take it. While Scott and our son went and climbed the Merlion.
Oh my gosh.
So gone. That really doesn't happen anymore.
You know,
And people ask us all the time. I mean,
why? How do you do what you
Yeah.
do? They're probably shocked at your energy level. They're
yeah,
probably
they always
Yeah, people
are.
do always
They
ask me.
always
That's
say
true.
that. That's the most common question. How do you guys keep up your pace? How do you guys keep the kind of things you're doing and travel all over the world and teach and lead tours and run a daily magazine and do all this stuff and have 11 children and have 30 grandchildren and all this stuff? And say, well, I know one thing that helps. That little thing right there, Cardio Miracle. You know, it really does. It's amazing.
Tell us, if you don't mind, I mean, you're our mutual dear friend, but you're a really close friend, Brother Ron. How is he recovering these days? Has he been able to bounce back?
Well,
Because I know he
bounce back
was
would be-
virtually gone.
yeah. It's amazing. From the time that he had a feeding tube and he was in a coma, his wife made sure he got Cardio Miracle
Through
all
the
the
feeding
time
tube.
in the feeding tube. Every day he
The
had it.
doctor didn't know that.
Yeah,
Probably
so
one of the-
it's a remarkable thing that
Probably
he
one of the
lived.
biggest benefits has been for Bonnie, being able to survive as a caregiver. And one of the things we're talking about for Mother's Day is how important this is for moms, grandmothers, great grandmothers, daughters of elderly parents, etc., as a caregiver. What would be your advice on that, Maureen? Because you are certainly a caregiver extraordinaire.
Well, we all know that it just takes so much personal effort to give care to anyone, especially someone who is in great need. And your own energy just can't lag. You can't just let yourself get to the point where you just only want to sit still in the middle of or in the corner of the room because you don't have any energy. But it really does make a difference to be able to have this kind of help in your life, to be able to get up and do what you need to get up and do. Isn't it so much easier to sit down and just forget it?
Yeah.
But you can't. Your heart doesn't call for you to sit down. Your heart calls for you to get up and be about things, you know? So it's nice to have the help.
You know, maybe in wrapping this up, Scott, because you've been such a student. I mean, you're one of the great researchers. And the thing that was exciting for me was when I knew that you were a dead duck once I could get you on the research because you're such a fanatical scholar. But one of the things that I think would be interesting is from your standpoint in talking to people and looking at the research, how I wanted to get to actually the spiritual side. How do you feel in all your observations as a health enthusiast and very spiritual leaders and examples for a lot of people? How do you feel that being not dependent upon drugs and excess surgeries and pain, how does that impact somebody's spiritual life?
Well, your health is the foundation of your happiness. It really is. I mean, you can be spiritual and be miserable, and the sum of that is that you're miserable. And if you have a foundation of health underneath all of this, your spirituality improves, your emotions improve, your work improves, your family relationships improve, everything improves with that foundation of health. It really, and this has made such a difference for me personally. And I can tell you all the things. I mean, I'm just a little bit crazy about like sleep. I wake up every morning at 4:30 or 5 and I'm just wide awake and ready to go. And I just go all day long. I don't take naps and I go to bed late, unfortunately, but I have plenty of energy.
You're amazing.
I do
Seriously.
all the time. And it's just that health thing is just critical. And that's why I'm such a fierce advocate of my own health and of Maureen's health, is because it's everything for us to be able to do what we do and to continue to do what we do. And as we age, we just don't ever talk about age. It's not in our vocabulary.
You know, and
we don't talk about
we
it.
don't ever plan to retire until our health retires us. So we want to be as healthy as we can for as long as we can.
Yeah. Well,
Scott had a great answer to someone who asked if we were retired.
We were just on a ship going to Panama the other day, a couple of months ago, and this guy had joined our lecture series because he was a Latter-day Saint, and we were lecturing on some things that were of interest to him. And there were about 60 or 70 people that came to these lectures, and And he came up to me afterwards. He said, "Now, you're retired, right?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I retired 26 years ago." And he said, "Really? You're so young."
Where was that gold mine?
And he said, I said, "Well, isn't the definition of retirement finally getting to do what you really love to do?" He said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well,
That's what
we started an online magazine 26 years ago, and it's a daily magazine, and that's what we love to do. So yeah, I retired 26 years ago. I worked my guts out, but I retired 26 years ago."
And when you love what you do, people can tell.
Yeah.
And and that's when really one of the things that's been so rewarding for Jen and I is this is a mission for us. People say, "What's your exit strategy?" And I go, "Death."
Right. It is.
That's
We say too.
He's asking us that too. What's your exit strategy?
Well,
What's yours?
our
That's
ex-
yours.
all I can say is it's wonderful to see you.
No, it's so
It's
good
so
to see
good
you
to
too.
both of you.
We're so
Love you
excited.
dearly.
Oh, we love you dearly. We still can't get over that our Israel trip with you was canceled several years ago. I think I probably went into depression over that. So we look forward to having those types of days again.
Yes.
So thanks so much
That's
for
Yeah.
good.
being such an important part of our going from, we've had from 2020 to 2024, our growth went crazy. People came to us for answers during the pandemic because they couldn't find them anywhere else. And so a lot of people benefited. And so we just can't tell you how much we love and appreciate you for
Well,
The
it's
feeling
mutual.
This trip.
Isn't it fun to feel such a deep connection?
been great.
And from us, it's deep gratitude. We
Thank
really
you so
appreciate it.
much for
So
coming in.
grateful.
So thank you, everyone, watching, for enduring through these special relationships. The Proctors were very, very, very important in sharing the American story, and then also the Robert Scott Bell and the Palmers and others. So it's been quite an experience. So Jason, what do you got? Oh,
Well,
the new canister. What in the world's that?
this is a special gift from everyone at Cardio Miracle for you guys as the incredible founders and the formulators. And you do so much for all of us. We know it's your birthday coming up. We know it's Mother's Day coming up. The May sale is going to be incredible. We thought let's show something fun that we had made up. I don't know if this will be a norm that we'll be able to have in the future for others, but it's certainly a special looking thing. It's actually full of single serves. So
Perfect.
we're giving this as a nice little gift as we launch this great sale, as we say thank you to you guys for all that you do. This is obviously Gary's
Of course.
and Elizabeth.
It's got its fingerprints all over.
Everybody that puts all the great stuff together.
It's really a nice.
Nice.
I like it. Of course,
So-
it's great. Thank
so
you.
we'll let you close out, and
right.
we have some more stuff going on
Okay.
downstairs.
So, folks, thank you so much for being our most valuable resource. Thank you for this incredible 11-year journey. When Jen and I first did an email with G. Edward Griffin, we'll never forget how we saw literally hundreds of orders come in. It was amazing. And we've gone the roller coaster ride up and down for 11 years, but it's been the most rewarding thing is the fact that I just had somebody the other day come up to me and say, "You're giving me my life back." And I've given my own life back. I should not be here. And I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful to share my life with Janet and my wonderful children, grandchildren, family members. It's just been an honor to be on this episode of life and this chapter of life. And we really genuinely want only the best for our customers. We are so committed to providing the best product at the best value to solve the most problems, to help you with mobility, health, and wellness.
And reach out. We want to hear what you're.
Tell us your stories. We just heard
That's
new
what we're
stories
doing.
tonight.
Yeah.
We've heard several already tonight. That's what keeps us going, and we're so thankful for that opportunity and love and appreciate you. Take advantage of the sale. If you have people who are in serious need and have problems, let us know. We have a charitable side that we're happy to be a part of. This is the best thing for veterans, the best things for post-traumatic stress disorder, most things to protect head injuries for teenagers playing in sports. There's all kinds of benefits, and we'll be sharing more of those with you in the future. We hope you all have a wonderful Mother's Day. If your mother happens to still be on earth, I hope you'll be thinking of her and giving her special attention, and your grandmother. Those of you who have daughters, that you hopefully will love them and encourage them to be the kind of mother that I had, the kind of mother that Jen has. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. And thank you so much for being a part of me launching into my 74th year next week.